What's up guys? Welcome back to part 5 of the Gunfight tips and tricks series. Today we're going to be talking about Exhibit. Exhibit is of course one of the gunfight maps that was introduced back in MW2. Before we get into it though, I got some cool stuff to share. First of all, for those of you who don't know, there is a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 subreddit, and Sledgehammer Games themselves actually post a lot of stuff over there, you know, stuff like season trailers or playlist updates or whatever. And on one of their posts, someone actually commented about Gunfight, you know, asking where Blueprints was or if we could get some new content. And Sledgehammer themselves actually responded to that comment with like a vague Gunfight Blueprints whatever comment, which makes me think that they're actually going to be adding it soon. If they are, I'm guessing it's going to be with the Season 4 Reloaded update, and I think that's going to be next Wednesday, the 26th. Also, real quick, my next live stream is going to be Friday, the 28th of June. I'm gonna try to kick it off around the afternoon in my time, which is gonna be around like 3 p.m. Central European time. For the US people, that's around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or about 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know that's really early for you guys, but I'm gonna try to keep it going as long as possible again. So of course, I hope to see a lot of you guys in there again. Anyways, let's get into Exhibit. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, so we're on Exhibit right now. Look at that beautiful sunset. So as you can see, Exhibit is a pretty small gunfight map, and it's actually one of the gunfight maps that is perfectly symmetrical. The design of it is pretty simple, and each side basically has their own outside courtyard statue area, I would say, and then their own inside museum area. In typical gunfight fashion, the layout is really straightforward, and you basically have 3 main routes that you can push. You can either push outside, you can push interior museum, or you can push straight up mid. The spawns are pretty straightforward as well. Someone spawns right here, and the other guy spawns right next to him right here. Usually the guy on the outside spawning here is gonna push outside or mid, and then the guy on this side is gonna push either again mid or inside museum. Let's start off on this side then. If I spawn here, usually I will either push mid or I will go inside museum, and I'll start off with inside museum because this is arguably the hardest lane to push. First of all, if I spawn here, as soon as the round starts, I will always just jump on top of these seats right here and just check this cross. If someone goes outside or not, I always want to know about it and tell my teammate about it, simply because I want to know if I can expect a gunfight pushing up this side, or if someone's challenging it, I might get a kill or some damage. If I see someone cross then but I don't get any damage, what I usually do is push up here and get on top of this cabinet as soon as possible and basically check right here if they're pushing up. Now there's a reason I refer to this side as the hardest lane to push, simply because you have zero cover anywhere on this side. Basically, if you want to challenge anything, you're always completely exposed, and the hard part about it is that your opponent is always on an insane head glitch. As you can see on this side, you can just absolutely abuse every single angle, get insane head glitches on these stairs as well. You can just angle the shit out of everything, and if you're on the inside of this museum, you basically have zero cover, and yeah, you're just fucked. So if I stand on top of this cabinet, I can actually see those stairs right there pretty good. I can see the wall right there with the block to stand on. If I don't see anyone on these stairs or on the wall right there, I'll usually just jump to the next cabinet, and then right here you can also check that corner and part of the hedge head glitch. Sometimes people might even still be holding that wall right there, that corner. If they're still in spawn, you know, holding that angle, so that's also a possibility. Again though, as you'll notice, on top of these cabinets, you have zero cover, you're completely exposed, so it is still kind of a disadvantageous position to push, but usually I'll do it anyway because it's a better alternative to just blindly pushing right here, because here, you're just, if you try to push either side of this cabinet, you're just completely cooked, I promise you. Now, one really important thing to mention on this side is, when I say jump on top of this cabinet, you notice that I did it from the side right here. I always do it like that. And the reason for it is really simple. If you jump right here from the back, you break the glass. And to some of you that might not seem like much, but I promise you, this glass breaking is one of the most important sound cues on Exhibit, because if I'm the guy pushing out there and pushing those stairs, and I hear glass breaking early in the round, 99 times out of 10... Wait. 99% of the time, it means someone climbed this cabinet, and I know someone's gonna be on top of this. So if they hear that glass breaking, an experienced gunfight player is gonna know that you're on top of this cabinet and gonna start pre-aiming you. I swear to God. So that's why I recommend always jumping from the side, because that way you avoid the glass sound cue. So if I do this, then I check the next angle as well, and I don't see anyone here, or I get a kill. Usually what I'll do is push outside and immediately get on these stairs right here, because then you're on this wall with a pretty good cover. And then I'm just gonna check if the other guy might be mid or if he's still in spawn. If I don't see anyone, or I know he's pushed up that side, then I can just rotate all the way around him by pushing into their spawn. So yeah, that's probably it for this side. Honestly, it's pretty straightforward, but as mentioned, it is probably the most disadvantageous route to push on Exhibit, but it can work, especially if you hit your shots. One last cool angle I want to show you guys is on top of this cabinet right here. If you just inch your way outward a little bit, you can actually see that doorway right there from their museum, and if you know that someone's pushing up and coming like on the outside area, pushing into your spawn, you can actually see them cross outward of that doorway, and you know, that can give you some valuable intel. You know, you can give a call out to your teammate who might be somewhere else, but yeah, this angle is pretty cool, and on this side you can do it as well. So that's the interior museum side done. Next, I want to discuss pushing mid. Usually if I push mid, I will avoid running through this glass right here, because in general, the windows on Exhibit are really important to check for sound cues. So if I just straight push up here and run through this window, the enemy is gonna hear that and they're gonna know that I ran through one of these windows and that I'm gonna be like on this general area. So the sound cues on Exhibit, the window smashing is really important. So instead of pushing out of those windows right there, what I'll usually do if I want to push mid is run outside here and jump on top of this hedge, and then after the hedge you can just jump straight to the mid statue, and right here you have a really good view of their spawn. You know, if someone's holding that angle, you can probably pick them off, or you can see someone pushing that side, you can also pick them off. This mid statue right here can serve so many purposes. You can find so many disgusting angles to hold, and you know, just yeah, there's all kinds of angles you can hold on this thing, so I would urge you to be creative. If I see a guy crossing inside that museum, of course I'll give my teammate a call out, and if I see a guy pushing outside there, I'll usually jump to the other side and then, you know, immediately just big ball sack it and challenge him right off the rip. Or you can also just jump down and, you know, hold this angle right here if he's on the stairs, jump on top of it right here, you know, get a little angle action. Again, this mid area is really versatile. So if I'm mid, then depending on the situation, I'll usually kind of hang out here because you can do a lot from here. You have a good oversight of the different parts of the map, and if people are pushing you, you can do a lot of, you know, Tom and Jerry shit, you know, 1-2 around this wall. This area is actually pretty good to hold down because there's a lot of different ways to play it. So yeah, if you have mid control, that's definitely an advantage. One thing to keep in mind as well on Exhibit is the directional sunlight, and if you notice, the really experienced gunfight connoisseur will notice that if you jump on top of this, you can actually see my shadow right there. And sometimes, I would say especially later in the round, let's say someone's ratting on that side of the map and you're already holding flag right here, they can and sometimes will look at this wall to just see your shadow, and if they do, they know where you are. So keep this in mind. Again, it is like a really specific detail that not a lot of people pick up on, but if you're playing some opponents that are really deep into gunfight, just know that they might check this wall and check to see if your shadow is there. So yeah, just know about that. Another thing to keep in mind is the spawn peak on top of this hedge right here. So if I do push mid and I get on top of this, usually I will check this little angle right here. You have some good cover behind this this wall right here, and you can see into their spawn. And in my opinion, this is a better alternative than the typical peak right here behind this, because right here, you know, half your body is showing. You could try to mount up, but in my opinion and in my experience, it's not really that viable. The problem is as well is if you commit too long to this angle, you might get stuck here, and that can be a problem, because if you stand here too long, someone else might be pushing up that side, and then here you're just completely exposed. So if you hold this angle, then it's a lot easier to get out of dodge. You can send it that way, you can go mid, you can get on top of this wall, so there's a lot more room to escape. And then for the really sweaty nerds out there, if you just jump on top of this little seat right here and kind of inch your way out, you can actually see the cross right there as well, but you need some really good eyesight, and it's not really a viable lane to challenge because very rarely will they be holding exactly this lane, but you know, it exists. Know that you can check for crosses here. Let's say you're stuck here, you know the other guy's on that side of the map, you can just jump here and kind of like check that. You could see him cross or not. Just know that this angle exists. And then lastly, pushing outside, usually what I'll do is just jump straight out behind this wall so that I have some cover and try to shoot them into their spawn. You might get some damage, you might get a kill, and this moment is also really important to just check what they're doing. You know, you might see them cross inside museum, you might not see anyone, which is usually an indication that they're gonna push mid or that they're holding the back left side of their spawn. And then further on this side, I'll usually just get on top of this wall right here. You have some good oversight, you can see into their spawn, you can see them crossing right there. You can also heady the stairs, again as mentioned, on the other side. This is a pretty good angle. Also, again as mentioned, if you're pushing this side and you hear glass breaking inside there, 99% of the time it's because someone's on top of that cabinet. So if I get a pick here or I don't see anyone here, I'll usually try to just push inside their museum. Always check these corners right here. People tend to rat super fucking hard inside here. And also pushing up further, as you notice, the footstep audio is really typical on the interior right here. So usually people will be sound whoring, you know, sitting in this corner. This is also really typical rat spot. People sit in this corner. Yeah, this interior side, as per usual on MW3, it can be really ratty. As I said, Exhibit is perfectly symmetrical, so everything that I mentioned on that side perfectly checks out to this side as well. So if I push interior museum, I'll do the same thing, get on top of the cabinet on the side rather than the glass area. Pushing mid, I'll get on top of this hedge. Again, you have the exact same angles to hold. Instead of jumping on the chairs on that side, you can jump on this little cleaning cart right here, and then you also have a pretty good view, and it's a good oddball way to challenge. Then again, this angle also exists on this side, and pushing outside, it's literally the exact same strat. Some more stuff that's good to know is that most of these cabinets right here are actually bullet penetrable, so you can wallbang these things. It's especially good to know that these are wallbangable, simply because a lot of people, if they stay in spawn and they kind of heady this stuff right here, you can just wallbang them. The damage drop-off is pretty large, but you know, damage is damage, and you can just get them lower on HP or even get a kill. Something to keep in mind on Exhibit is these high windows, of course. These windows make it so that it's pretty easy to get utility inside buildings without them seeing you. So a really typical place for a frag might be like through those windows right here. So as you can see, if I'm standing here, no one inside there is gonna see me, but I can easily get a frag grenade in there through those windows. One last thing on those windows then, as mentioned, they're really important for sound cues, but that also means that sound plays are really easy on Exhibit. So let's say I'm pushing up into this museum. I know someone's ratting on this interior side right here. I know my teammate's ready to pinch him right there, but I just know he's, you know, I just know he's ratting in here, and I'm not patient enough to keep an eye on the flag. I just want to push him. So what I'll try to do a lot of the times is just get close right here and do something similar to that, because as soon as I break this window, he's gonna assume I'm running all the way around to challenge him from the other side. He might try to peek this side then, but if you break this window and jump right back again, you might catch him off guard like this. And that's just one specific example, but I promise you there's a lot of different ways that you can use windows to your advantage on Exhibit, so I would definitely recommend, you know, trying to play with them and yeah, be creative. Some decent nade spots as well on Exhibit is right here, actually, the trees. This tree is also exactly on the other side. If you back up into it and kind of keep the flag in the middle of your vision and just throw a nade basically vertically like this, you'll see it kind of ends up on that side right there. So if they're holding the heady right there, which is a really difficult angle to challenge, honestly, it can be a good way to get rid of them like that. And then if you know someone's already holding mid in between those walls on the flag, it's also really easy to like bank your utility off these walls. So if I know someone's on a flag, I might try to do something like that. And then yeah, you basically get a perfect nade on flag. So the flag on Exhibit is a pretty weird one. As you'll see, it spawns right here, but the capture zone is the weird part. You can actually capture it from almost anywhere in this circle, which just makes it insanely difficult. If you're on the challenging end and someone is capping the flag, it's really hard to anticipate where they're gonna be, because, you know, you can capture it from anywhere in that circle. And yeah, that makes it hard to predict where they're gonna be. However, if you're the one holding down mid already, it's really easy to do flag plays, because anywhere in this zone you can capture the flag and just, you know, Tom and Jerry around these walls and get the drop on your enemy. So in that sense, I would say Exhibit is definitely unique, because it's, in my opinion, basically the only map where the flag spawns on a power position, which means that it's easier to defend it while you're capping rather than it being a risk to cap, if that makes sense. So one last cool but kind of pointless thing I want to show you guys on Exhibit is, if you stand on top of this railing, you can see these planters right here. You can actually walk on top of those out of the map, basically out of bounds. So if you just shuffle downward, you can actually run on this. And yeah, as you can see, it's only like 3 seconds that you get, so it's not really practical or anything. But yeah, it is possible. You could say like, oh, if someone's holding that, I'm gonna flank him, I'm gonna do it like this insane outplay maneuver. But yeah, there you go. It's just really clunky to get in and out of it, but yeah, it exists, and I wanted to show you guys. All right, so that's gonna do it for Exhibit. I know I didn't have too many crazy spots or angles to show you guys, but yeah, Exhibit is just pretty small and fairly straightforward. Of course, if there are some cool spots or stuff that I didn't talk about and you guys want to share, feel free to do so in the comments. Anyways, I do still hope that you guys learned something new and enjoyed the video. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one.